And senior national correspondent Justin Michaels is in studio with us this morning with more.
Well, Jim and Steph, I'll tell you, this guy's name is Joe Scully. I first met him in the days just after the flood, and back then, the water had just receded. Most of Biltmore Village was still coated in that thick, wet mud that we see after every flood. And now, months later, Joe's determination to rebuild hasn't wavered. What's happening across the flood-impacted parts of Asheville is more than just rebuilding their community. It's now about planning for their future.
It went all the way up to the landing on the stairway, and it destroyed all the ceiling. The drywall and all the ceilings had to be taken down.
The Swannanoa River rose quickly, cresting at more than 27 feet, flooding Biltmore Village homes and businesses. Among the many businesses hit hard, Joe Scully's restaurant, the Corner Kitchen.
I'm running around arranging for HVAC people and making sure the general contractor has everything he needs to make this thing happen.
Once a bustling dining room, now a construction site.
6 months after Helene came through, and there are still water lines on these windows from that fateful day.
The impact of the flood was catastrophic, but the bones of this 120-year-old building held strong.
This building, I think it went up sometime 1895, 1905, and they really built them back then, let me just say, because I'm just amazed that it's really intact, and there's no compromise of the structure, which is great.
Joe and his team are not just rebuilding, they're planning smarter, expecting floods will come again.
We did away with all ductwork, and we put in cassettes. And it was tens of thousands of dollars more than to put a furnace and a bunch of ductwork. But we feel like, you know, the idea is to expect that something is going to happen around flooding and that we're going to have to deal with this again.
That realism has turned into resolve and even creativity.
My wife had this idea. We have these ball jars, and what we decided to do is to create little individual time capsules. So, for instance, this one is a letter from my family. This is the original, or the actual menu, the day the flood happened. And we're just going to put them up on the shelf, and they'll be inside the wall, and then we'll have a little sign on the door gem that says, time capsule.
A message for the future, because Joe believes someone will eventually find them.
Yeah, well, you are in the lowest spot in Asheville right now. It's going to happen.
Even the historic Pebble Dash stucco exterior, a staple of Biltmore-era design, is being carefully restored.
That's one of the biggest parts of this project, and it's going to take some time.
But time and care is something Joe is willing to give. And now, history isn't just being remembered here, it's being preserved.
It's really an amazing kind of memory piece,
right?
You know. For some people, it might be upsetting. I don't know.
Right. Right. You know, it's also interesting to think about the history of it, and that's now Helene is now part of the history of this building, and you're caretaker of this building for the time that you own it.
Yep.
And it's part of your history as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It becomes part of my family.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the Corner Kitchen's soul was always more than just its walls.
You just got to hold on to that little bit of hope, and for me, as an individual, the moving through, staying busy, being functional really helps.
You know, it's rare to see a recovery effort so rooted in the past, but Joe Scully is honoring the history of Biltmore Village while preparing for the future. And his story and the stories he's placing behind those Corner Kitchen walls serve as both a warning and a legacy, guys.
And it's not just his restaurant. There's a lot of restaurants that are all coming back, and shops. And
right, yeah, it's a village, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just businesses, but also homes. I mean, people live in Biltmore Village.
Yeah,
so I know the Grand Bohemian has reopened, which is a hotel there. Other places are planning to reopen maybe early July, and they'd like to have a big street festival to welcome most of them back. So we'll keep tracking
July 5th on his restaurant.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping.
Right after Independence Day.
That's what they're hoping for.
Nice.